Every now and then, I come across a game that drastically changes my perception of it after I finish it. Rage 2 is one of those games. Rage 2 was a game where initially I was interested in playing it, but by the end of it, I couldn't wait to be finished with it. And it's not because Rage 2 is an unplayable mess, but rather it underdelivers and leaves you wishing for just a little bit more. I played Rage 1 years ago. It was one of those games where I don't remember how I got it, but I did, and I ended up playing it. From what I remember, I enjoyed my time with it. I had brought it to a friend's house one night, and we played through a bit of it on his PS3, and even he enjoyed it so much that he went out and got it. We would then go on to play through it co-op and have a great time. It even bled into other games we played around that time. See, Black Ops 2 was out roughly close to Rage 1, and there was a gun in Black Ops 2 that had these blue-cased bullets that you could fire, so we made the joke that they were Feltrite rounds from the original Rage. So when I discovered there was a sequel, I knew that I was going to play it. I got it for Christmas a few years back, and it's been sitting on my giant backlog ever since. Booting up Rage 2, you are thrown right into the action as Walker. You get to pick whether you want to be a guy or a girl, but other than that, it's bombastic. It's like a Michael Bay film right from the get-go. Your home of Vineland is attacked by the returning General Cross and the Authority. After tragedy falls upon the town, you are thrust into the role of Ranger and tasked with uniting the leaders of Project Dagger and finishing off Cross and the Authority once and for all. On top of that, you are asked to go out and recover whatever tech you can from the abandoned arcs. The game does a good job of trying to catch new players up with a lot of information dumps and a lot of data pads and things of that nature to kind of give you a fleshed out world. It can be a little overwhelming at once though. It's here where the game opens up and its world is free for you to explore. While you could follow the main quest and head to the first town of Gun Barrel, you could also just ignore it and go out and explore the wasteland. Do note, however, if you were to go out and explore, your friend from Vineland would constantly call you up on your communicator and tell you that you need to go to Gun Barrel or you need to check in with this leader of Project Dagger or that leader of Project Dagger. On your way to the first town, you come into contact with a good handful of the open world objectives, and it's a decent introduction to what the world is and how you're going to be getting around it and how you actually can move and fight as Walker. At first, I didn't mind this. The open world objectives are your typical tropes. There's bandit camps that need to be cleared out, bosses that need to be killed, mutant nests that need to be cleansed, amongst a handful of others. Within most of the encounters are sub-objectives to complete, such as opening supply caches or finding data pads, opening arc chests, which reward you with upgrade materials. If you complete the main objective and all the sub-objectives in an area, then the location is considered fully cleared, and it will be denoted on your world map. I ended up doing a good handful of these activities before even stepping foot into the first town. Along my journey, I would add a few abilities like a self-revive, a dash, a double jump, and a super punch to my kit. I'd even pick up a shotgun, and a pistol that would fire tracking rounds, which you then ignite by snapping your fingers a la Roy Mustang. All of these major upgrades to your kit are found in arcs that are scattered across the map. After I got through the first and second town, I began to realize something. I had already done enough of these side activities to unlock the next main story mission for 2 out of the 3 leaders. You see, the way Rage 2 sets up its main progression is you do a mission to earn the trust of one of the 3 leaders, and then you go out into the world and do a handful of these side objectives that correspond to the relative leader. They're all color-coded, so you'll never mix up which leader needs which objective done. Upon completion of the activity, you are rewarded some upgrade materials, cash, and reputation. Once you hit enough reputation, you unlock a subsequent main mission for that leader. That being said, there's only a total of 6 main missions split across the 3 vendors. Normally, this wouldn't be a problem, but because the map is filled with all of these locales. By the time you make it to the next town, you could already have more than enough rep. By the time I made it to the next town, I had enough rep to blitz through both of the main missions. To be fair, this made Rage 2 a relatively short playthrough, and with 70 games on my backlog, I'm not entirely upset by that. Another thing to note is Rage's open world is not this massive world like Skyrim or Fallout or The Witcher. It's a relatively small map when stacked to other open world games. What is upsetting is how pointless most of these open world activities are once you unlock the main missions. Each of the project leaders have upgrade trees that unlock with the more rep you earn. Normally this wouldn't be that big of a deal, but with these trees and the other myriad of upgrades you can make to your character and gear, all of it becomes almost artificially bloated. When discussing this to a friend, I equated it to one of the things I disliked the most about AC Valhalla. The upgrade trees don't feel substantial in my opinion. They feel like small, incremental increases, number boosts. The only upgrades that I noticed during my everyday gameplay was auto-reloading by swapping guns, locking onto targets when using a boomerang or a grenade, as well as being able to kick grenades back by meleeing them. I, however, wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I went ahead and fully upgraded the auto rifle. It was the most utilitarian gun, and I used it for almost the entire playthrough. I then went and upgraded one of the project leader's upgrade trees and one of my abilities to max. Besides the small stat boosts in certain categories, I got nothing else for my troubles. No alternate fire mode for the rifle, no special weapon or cosmetic for any of my gear, nothing for finishing all the quote-unquote projects that the leader had to offer. Once I wrapped up the last two missions for the final leader, I beelined it for the final mission because I knew that was all that was left, and I finished the game. Post-credits, you see a cutscene basically saying, go out into the wastes and finish everything up. Besides everything I talked about so far, one of the other things that bothered me about Rage was its optimization. I initially started playing it on PS4, but besides the horrific load times and the menus that just had these giant pauses when you tried to switch tabs, I couldn't play it on there. I went and put it onto my PS5 and it did perform slightly better, but there were still about 5 to 8 seconds of pause when I would go from one tab to another in the main menu. Rage 2 is definitely a popcorn game. It's a game where you turn it on, you shut your brain off, and you run around causing chaos. Some people may like that, and that's what some people may just need or want out of their video game, and that's totally fine. While I was excited to play it, by the end I was happy to be done with it. I'm glad it wasn't unnecessarily long. I just wish it rewarded its players more for going out and doing things in the open world. I did some research online and I found that there weren't any bonus rewards for fully completing this game outside of trophies and the platinum. At the end of the day, Rage 2 just left me wanting a little bit more.